Cartoon Network is officially in a new dark age, the first in over 15 years. There's no more original series, there's barely anything in production, and although they want us to forget, there are a ton of promising new ideas, with fully animated shorts that they are refusing to release. How did we get to this point, and how can Cartoon Network be saved, if at all? That's what I set out to answer today, breaking down how we got here, and delving into what I believe is the only way Cartoon Network can be saved.
What we do here is go back.
Need something to throw on while you draw, study, or sleep? Roundtable Rewind's got you covered. So why not take a stroll down memory lane and subscribe?
No one can tell me what to do.
See you there. So you may have heard by now, but the end of Craig of the Creek has also brought to an end a generational run of Cartoon Network originals. Aside from the fact that Cartoon Network Studios as we know it no longer exist, as they got rid of the iconic building and merged it with Warner Bros. Animation in a new one, the small amount of shows they are producing are all spin-offs. Namely Adventure Time Fionna and Cake, Adventure Time Side Quest, and regular show The Lost Tapes. Where are the new cartoons? I'll take more Adventure Time. I'll take more regular show. You already know I've been advocating for more Steven Universe. But I want new stuff too. Every animation fan does. That's why all of the hype has moved over to indie animation. The Amazing Digital Circus, Monkey Wrench, the upcoming adult animated series Knights of Guinevere created by Dana Terrace. Those are all new ideas that are filling a void that was left behind when all of these studios decided, you know what? Popular IP is all we need. But unlike Disney and Nick, it's pretty obvious that Cartoon Network has been struggling the most. And the reason why is also the same reason why animation got to this state in the first place. Streaming. When streaming took over in the mid-2010s, a lot of corporations didn't know how to adapt, and they continuously learned the wrong lessons. In Cartoon Network's case, it was clear that a lot of people took interest in their story-driven series. Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Infinity Train, and so on. But the problem is, more and more people were cord cutting. The golden age of cable had come to an end, and most people got their entertainment fix from either Netflix, Hulu, or YouTube. But networks like Cartoon Network kept premiering their shows on television, which saw viewership dwindle more and more throughout the years. They were making content for an audience that was just no longer tuning in. And the worst part for a channel like Cartoon Network is that since its main demographic is children, Cartoon Network and viewers alike were at the mercy of their parents to still have cable. And I would imagine it'd be very hard for kids to justify that bill, just so they can stay in the loop with the Crystal Gems or Finn's Love Life. Now the obvious answer would be to just move these shows to streaming. But of course, they went about it the wrong way, something that will definitely become a pattern. You see, whereas a lot of shows in the 2010s would feature their episodes next day on Hulu, good old Turner wasn't ready to let go of cable just yet. So their solution was to host new episodes online the very next day on a channel-specific website Gate kept behind a cable login, which really didn't solve the accessibility problem. What's the point of posting these episodes online if you still need cable to watch them? This of course only encouraged piracy and made it really hard to track who was actually watching these shows. How can they gauge the success of anything if the numbers just aren't accurate? Not only that, but by the time full seasons of these shows would finally hit something like Hulu, it would be months after these seasons finished airing on TV. The hype was no longer there. Anyone who really wanted to stay in the loop probably just watched it on something like Kiss Cartoon. But as we approached the late 2010s, Cartoon Network's parent company began plotting the birth of HBO Max, wanting to launch this platform with a ton of exclusive content, like how there's a buttload of Netflix originals. So for a while, Cartoon Network was just making stuff without any clear indication of where it would end up. Some of these shows aired on TV, and some of these shows would eventually premiere to HBO Max. And then you had some that started on TV but moved over to HBO Max, like Infinity Train. But this in itself presented a big problem. HBO Max is a brand new streaming service. It took time to grow and become a beloved streaming service, although that didn't really last long, huh? But all of these Cartoon Network productions are relying on good numbers in order to get renewed for more episodes. Obviously, this didn't work out. A lot of these Max exclusive Cartoon Network shows, I think a lot of people don't even realize exist to this very day. Like, how many of y'all know about called the Fungies or Tig and Seek. Probably not that many, because they weren't marketed all that well. And they came out at a time where Max did not have nearly as many subscribers as it does now. Not to mention, a lot of that initial HBO Max subscriber base were people who were already subbed to HBO. But that means they were here for HBO content, not Cartoon Network shows. So, despite the best efforts of crew and fans alike, a lot of these shows did not survive for long. But through these early days of HBO Max, they did discover that people still really like Adventure Time, as the Distant Land specials were making waves. So they said, what the hell, let's make a new show aimed at a young adult audience, starring Fionna and Cake. Everything else can get fucked. Things only got worse once the Discovery merger rolled around, as the new president, David Zaslav, really likes unscripted content, the likes of reality TV, and he really didn't care for animation. So all those shows Max announced that were in development, they died a swift death. And as far as Zaslav's concerned, animation, it may bring in some dough, but it's not nearly as profitable as non-scripted TV. And so Cartoon Network gradually got reduced to a shell of itself. No shows were getting picked up, and the ongoing shows that were in production, most of them got their episode orders reduced, forcing animation fans to slowly watch this iconic studio, this iconic brand, die. But again, those shows that were mega hits in the 2010s, they were still getting good numbers because, you know, people actually knew they existed. They didn't have to market them. So if they gotta make something animated, might as well be the stuff they know are profitable. And now we're only getting Adventure Time, Regular Show, and Gumball until the end of history. But there are a ton of ideas for original animated series with fully finished pilots that Warner Bros. Discovery are refusing to release. You guys may remember that back in 2021, they announced the Cartoon Shorts program. This program would allow for a variety of shorts to be produced by various artists in the animation industry with the intent of them being released to the public so that we could vote for their future with our viewership. Cartoon Network actually promoted these shorts a bit, hyping them up on social media, until one day they just stopped. And now, 4 years later, we still have yet to get a single cartoon short released. They have pleaded for Cartoon Network to release them, voicing their dissatisfaction for their hard work going unreleased. And still, none of these shorts have gotten released. People want to make new shows. There are a ton of new cartoons begging to be released, despite the fact that just pressing upload wouldn't cost them a single penny. Warner Bros. Discovery won't budge. We may never see these cartoons. If that doesn't scream Dark Age, I don't know what does. Now Cartoon Network in its current state is all reruns, imported shows, and potentially spin-offs of the same shows that were popular 10 years ago. Everybody wants to be Nickelodeon. Everybody wants to have their SpongeBob. We're seeing it happen with Disney too, with Phineas and Ferb making a comeback for another endless summer. But the thing is, there's no guarantee that these shows will even head to Cartoon Network proper. They might not even head to Max. They got rid of all the Cartoon Network shows. Right now, we just know they're making them, but who knows where they're going to end up because the designated streaming service for Cartoon Network doesn't want Cartoon Network around anymore. So really, these shows are in the hands of either Netflix or Hulu to pick them up. And really, that's true for not only these established IP, but new ideas too. The future of Cartoon Network is sadly not in the hands of Warner Bros. Discovery, despite the fact that they own them. It's in the hands of other streaming services. You see, aside from terrible distribution, I do think what did Cartoon Network in was the fact that, yeah, their streaming service was Max, a platform that frankly never really prioritized animation all that much. Nickelodeon? Sure, there's Paramount Plus, but long before that streaming service was even a thing, Nickelodeon knew that their content had to get in front of as many eyes as possible in the streaming era and struck a deal with Netflix, which is where a lot of their heavy hitters end up. Hell, The Fairly Odd Parents and New Wish, that didn't go to Paramount Plus at all. They're dropping it in batches on Netflix after it aired on TV, which is also something I'm not a fan of. Just put it up next day after it airs on TV, or else it feels like you're just setting up the show for failure because even if it does well on there, are they really gonna want to pick it up when it's been out of production for so long? It's the same kind of trap that these early 2020 Cartoon Network shows fell into. But still, Netflix has a massive audience. And while they also have a promoting problem, I do think it would be easier to find something new on there compared to the likes of HBO Max. And of course, Disney has Disney Plus, something that was an instant hit and has given a lot of Disney Animation's catalog a second chance at life, although their distribution also isn't ideal. Still, if Cartoon Network ever wants to bounce back, they need to find a major streaming service that is willing to host their content and is willing to order new things, whether that be Netflix or Hulu. Both Max and cable just aren't reliable anymore, and now the big wigs don't want to pick anything up. It's up to one of the top dogs to say, hey, we don't want to see Cartoon Network die for good. We want to invest in more animated content, and we want Cartoon Network to make some of these shows. Not just reboots, not just revivals, but brand new ideas. Which, hey, maybe if they actually release those cartoon shorts, one of these big streaming services can see what's popular and then pick up a full series based off one of those shorts from there. But for now, that truly just seems to be wishful thinking. And honestly, I'm tired, boss. The current state of Cartoon Network is a symptom of a much bigger problem within the animation industry. A lot of people say the industry as a whole is dead, to just go indie, and that the version we had before, prior to the streaming wars, is never going to come back. But I'm gonna choose to remain optimistic. Both Netflix and Hulu see that animation is profitable, and they don't want to make it themselves. So hopefully within the next couple of years, we'll see them turn to places like Cartoon Network and ask for original ideas, ending this dark age and ushering in a new era. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. How do you feel about the death of Cartoon Network in this new dark age? Do you think there's a light at the end of the tunnel? Or have you already migrated to the boat of, go indie and I like watching anime now? Let us know in the comments down below and keep the conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at OstricVox and at Roundtable Vids. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace.